where we kind of got started. What we're going to be doing today is you guys are going to get started on creating your tables, creating some of your fields, and entering some of your data, and so on. So everyone follow with me, get your notebooks out. This very first part should be redundant. Start, programs, office, access. Start program and office access. Everyone click on create a blank database. And I want you to give it your last name or your last name, first name. You want it turned up? Last name, first name, and create. Last name, first name, create. Where? Is that where you, right now. All right. Now, as I mentioned last time, and this should already be in your notes, Microsoft Access already starts you off with a table and already gives you a primary key. So all we have to do for our very first table is type over things. So just for a moment, I'd like you to look up at the board, and in your entity relationships diagram, you either have A has many, B has many, C. That's the primary entity relationship diagram of choice. Or you can have A has many B, and A also has many C. Okay? So you have one of these. So regardless, I want you to start with your main, or I'm just going to call it your A table. I am going to do the university classes students database, but I want you to do yours, the one that you have in front of you. All right. The very first thing we want to do is rename the primary key. And since this is going to be my university table, I'm going to name it University ID. Go over to the next field, and I'm going to add university name. I'm going to abbreviate it. And for now, that's all I want you to add is 2 fields in your A table, in your first table, okay? On the tab, table 1, right-click, save, give it a name. This is the name of your entity, right? Mine's university. Okay. Right-click, close. Now remember, always, when you're starting the next thing, start with a blank slate. Make sure you close everything, okay? And would you shut that door, Rebecca? All right. Now for the second table. This should be in your notes. Click on Create Table. Exactly the same process. I'm going to double click on ID and change the name to Class ID. This is my B table in my entity relationship diagram. I'm going to go over to the next field. It's going to be short text, and I'm going to call it class name. please do not get ahead of me, okay? What we're doing today is a very abbreviated version of your homework. The third field is going to be your foreign key. So, always and forever, what type of field is it? What type of data does it contain? Always numeric. So in the drop arrow for your third field, make sure you choose number. And I'm going to call this class, university, ID. So for right now, just 3 fields. And of course, you're going to choose whatever is appropriate for your database. We're not entering any data yet. Don't worry about that. Right-click Save. And name it whatever your second entity is, your B entity. Okay? Mine is class. And right-click Close.
So in that column, it goes primary key after use foreign key?
Yes. Always want the primary key first, followed by the fields, and I always want the last field to be the foreign key. Okay, ditto on the third one, create table. Change the primary key name. For me, it's going to be STU student ID. And I am going to add student's first name and last name. And then add your primary key, your foreign key, I'm sorry. And what is it always going to be? Number. So it is stu class ID. So you'll notice that every field that I entered started with the name of the table. That's what I want you to do. And we do this in the real world because a database is a self-describing collection of integrated records. And the fact that it's self-describing means that you name things appropriately. The fields have the table name in. So I always know what table they belong to. Okay? And again, right-click Save. And this is going to be students or student. And right-click Close. Once again, always start with a blank slate before you go on to the next project. Ma'am?
Do we do last name, first name, or
It doesn't matter. Okay. First name, first name. However, I do want you to separate names into 2 fields and address into address, city, state, zip. And then there are likely other fields that need to be separated, okay, according to your database. Use your best judgment. But remember, I only count that as 1. You have to have 5 columns, not including the foreign key and the primary key, and combined fields like address and name are counted as 1. All right, so is everybody caught up with me so far? We good? All right. The next thing I'd like you to do, and if you didn't jot this down before, we are going to establish the relationships. Just because we created a foreign key, that doesn't mean that we have established relationships. That's actually part of the database software, okay? So You should open up your notebook, make sure that you have this written down. In order to establish relationships, we have to go to Database Tools, Relationships. I think I turned it the wrong way. Turn it on. Okay, this is very easy and it's kind of fun. We're going to create the relationships. And what we're going to do is add these tables to our drawing in the order that they appear in your entity relationship diagram. So that's why I want you to have that in front of you. So mine is university, class, student. So I'm going to pick university, add, class, add, student, add, then close. And don't worry if you hose this up, because you can always move these around just by dragging them. This is the part where we actually establish relationships in the database software. Having the foreign key field is part of it, but this is the other part and is more important. So, you click on the primary key from the first table and drag and drop it on top of its foreign key and let go. And as you look at these fields, they should be alike. We've got university ID and class university ID.
Hey, can you do that step one more time?
Sure. Take the primary key from the first field and click your mouse and hold it. And keep holding it until you're on top of the foreign key and let go. And it'll tell you the two fields that you're hooking together. These are the fields you're hooking together. But we're not quite done. You have to enforce referential integrity before you leave. And create. So you should get 1 to infinity. If you do not have 1 to infinity, it's easy to fix. All you do is click on the line itself and hit the delete key and just start over. University ID on top of class university ID. Enforce, create. Ma'am.
I have a foreign table, and I tried to do that, and it said that I can't just use the primary key.
Okay, I'll look at them in just a moment. For the rest of us, do it for the second table on top of the foreign key, enforce, and create. And that's it. And that's all. That's it. You establish your relationship. Will you pause for just a moment so I can see what the issue is?
Oh, yep.
I don't know how to say the issue, because I know one of mine attaches to 3 different.
So what we're doing now is I'm going to show you the other types of data that you can assign to fields. So in the drop-down arrow, what we've seen so far is really just short text and auto number, correct? But there are some fields that you should choose to be numeric. The foreign key, for example, has to be numeric because it's directly hooked to the primary key, which is numeric. Currency, if you have a field like the cost of a product, for example, you should choose currency. If you have a field such as date of birth, you should choose date, right? And some of you even have yes-no fields, like some of you are doing car options, leather seat, sunroof, yes-no. That would be a yes-no field. So really, it's just these top few that you care about, all right? But I'm going to check your metadata and make sure that you have it correct. So now that I'm in my A table, I'm going to click on View, Design View. And the purpose of Design View for anything that you're doing in Access is to let you look behind the scenes. So for our tables and our fields, we want to look behind the scenes because we want to check our metadata. So, do we need to do anything with University ID auto number? No, it's fine. Leave it alone. Never touch your primary key. Okay, we changed the name. That's it. Now, university name is short text, correct? But, do we really need 255 characters? No. This is what I'm going to be checking in your homework and in your final project. I don't know, university name, 30 characters, that's probably more than enough. So right-click Save, right-click Close. I'm going to open up class, which is my B table. Class name, I'm going to fix that, I don't know, 20 characters. Right-click Save, right-click Close. And my third table. Go into Design View. Names, first name, I don't know, 30 characters. Last name, maybe a little longer, 40. But the foreign key of class ID is numeric, and just leave it alone. Right-click Save, right-click Close. So again, what we're doing today in here is we are doing a sort of abbreviated version of your database. Abbreviated version of your database. Now, I would like you to think with your brains for a moment. If I look at database tools relationships, let's just think about this for a minute. For today's example, I'm just going to have you guys enter 2 records for your A table. So don't do it yet. So let's just say that this is going to be University of Tampa is going to be record number 1. I know it's kind of hard to see this up here. University of Tampa primary key is going to be 1. For the second record, University of Central Florida, it's going to be record number 2. Now, this is one-to-many, correct? A has many B. Many means more than 1. So what I'm requiring from you guys is at least 2. So the University of Tampa must have at least 2 classes that it teaches. Okay, at least 2. In the real world, there would probably be hundreds, right? UCF must also have at least 2. All right? So, this class is going to have a foreign key of 1, which means University of Tampa. The second class is going to have a foreign key of 1, which belongs to University of Tampa, right? The third class is going to belong to UCF, and the fourth class is going to belong to UCF. So do you see how the foreign key relates to the primary key? And likewise, we have classes have multiple students, at least 2, usually 25 or more, right? So the very first class, ITM220, is going to have 2 students in the student table. The second class is going to have 2 students. The third is going to have 2, and so on and so on. So let me make this clear. For your A table, if you have A has many B, has many C, for your homework this weekend, you must have 5 records, at least 5 rows. All right, 5 of them. You can make them up, I don't care. 5 of them. But obviously, since they have many B, what's double of 5? 10. So B is going to have at least 10 records. And what's double of 10? 20. So the C table is going to have at least 20 records. So let's do that. It'll make a little bit more sense when we actually do it. So open up your A table right now. I'm going to make sure you close everything. Close all. My A table is university. There's many ways that you can enter data, but probably the easiest for you guys is data sheet view. And I don't know if we got to this last time. So please get out your notebooks to where we left out and jot down how to enter data. I cannot emphasize to you enough how important it is for you to take notes today and Tuesday, actually, because we're not going to finish today. Because when you're sitting there all alone trying to work on this and you don't have anything written down, you're going to be lost. So please take my advice. Take very, very good notes today. I am also going to have this video available. And you can fast forward and skip through parts that you already know. All right, so how to enter data. Start with your A table, whatever that is, your main table, we'll call it. And open it up, double click on it to open it up, and it's going to open it up in data sheet view, right? And it's really easy because it's just like Excel spreadsheet. However, the primary key is auto number, so jot this down. Tab over the primary key. Okay, jot that down. Tab over it, skip it. Okay, so here we go. University of Tampa. And you guys enter something appropriate for your database. Now remember, your A table doesn't have a foreign key because it doesn't belong to anything. It's the beginning. It doesn't belong to anything. So just hit the enter key and voila, look carefully. It assigned it auto number 1. We didn't type the number 1. Microsoft Access gave it the number 1. Once again, tab over, and we're going to enter the second record. University of Central Florida. And of course, you guys enter whatever is appropriate for your table. Once you hit the enter key, it's going to assign it a primary key. The next consecutive primary key. So for today's purposes, this is all we're going to do because we need to speed things along. However, for this weekend's homework, you're going in your A table, you're going to have 5 records. 5 of them. Okay? You're also going to have at least 6 columns because I don't count the primary key. At least 6. Remembering that combined fields like address should be separated into separate fields, and names, you should separate them into first name, last name, but I still count them as 1. Okay? So you'll have 5 rows and a minimum of 6 columns. So once we're done, right-click Save, right-click Close. Again, always start with a blank screen before we move on. Now we're going to move on to our B table, whatever your B table is, the related table, okay? For me, that's class. So, open up the table. Jot that down, open up the table, just double click on it to open it up, and it's going to open it up in Datasheet View, which is just like Excel. Again, always skip over the primary key. Class name, ITM220. Now I need you to focus. This is the foreign key, and it represents the words belongs to. ITM220 belongs to which university? University of Tampa. But we don't put University of Tampa in here, do we? What do we put instead? 1, because University of Tampa is 1, record 1. So you have to actually type that in. 1. Enter. Tab over. The next class is Counting 100. And it is also being taught by the University of Tampa, which is record number 1. Because it's one to many. There are many classes taught by University of Tampa. In the real world, you'd have 1, a whole bunch of them, correct? But for our purposes, I'm only requiring you to have just 2 classes, or 2 of your B's. Ma'am.
So if like I'm doing malls and obviously like JCPenney and Macy's belongs to both malls, would I just do like just put them under one mall? Like, you know what I mean? Like they're brand name stores.
No, because they're actually different stores.
Yeah, I know, but like they're gonna be in different malls. So like would I like the key? I'm just gonna put one mall number. Like I'm only gonna put 1, not 1 and 2.
No, if you've got multiple JCPenney's, you could have JCPenney belongs to Mall 1, and then there's a completely different JCPenney that belongs to a completely different mall. They're not the same store.
So would I be putting like, I would have to enter it multiple times, like JCPenney 1, JCPenney 2?
Yeah, because they're different stores, right? All right, now, tab over, and I'm going to say management. I'm just making this up. Management 100 belongs to University 2, which is UCF. And Finance 100 belongs to University 2, which is UCF. So I'll give you a big fat hint, kids. Big fat hint. This is the way it's going to look. You might actually be able to see it a little better over here. But you're going to have primary key in your A table, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then your foreign key in your B table is going to be 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. Okay?
Got it.
And so that's going to be 10 records. So your foreign key in your third table is going to be 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 9, 9, 10, 10. Get it? So 5 records, 10 records, and 20 records.
Não, isso aqui é pra falando. Não, isso só que tipo, pra cada coisa, cada table vai começar a dobrar. Como é um
Say we have university in the middle, and then we have
pra cada
going from
row,
one side and going to the other side. We just need to
2 pra cada row.
Exactly. Guys, the question was, if you have got the entity relationship diagram at the top where your A table is in the middle, A goes to B, and A goes to C, A is going to have 5 records, B is going to have 10, and C is going to have 10. Okay?
É isso foi que eu fiz errado.
Okay, right click save. Yes, ma'am.
Do you want it like
evenly distributed, like
Então,
2
qual
per?
que é a sua
Yeah.
relação com pessoas que tem vários
Oh,
magazinhos,
okay.
certo?
I want like that.
Right click save, right click
Exato. Tem vários,
close.
porque senão é one-to-one.
Go on to your third
Mas é
table.
one-to-many, então tem que ser no mínimo
In
dois.
my case, it's
Sabe, né? Então,
students.
na vida real são vários, então a gente está fazendo aqui só para você dessas dois.
Let's see, bugs. Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny attends class 1. Yosemite. Sam also attends class 1. Tweety Bird.
Employees would be going to school, so it'd be like 1 through 10. Right, like the prime.
Attends class 2. Wile E. Coyote also attends class 2. Homer Simpson attends class 3. Bart Simpson also attends class 3. Oh, I need 2 more. Thank you. Cartridge here. Mickey Mouse attends class 4, and Minnie Mouse attends class 4. So once again, let me reiterate that the foreign key represents the words belongs to, or attends in this class, belongs to. So Bugs Bunny belongs to class 1. So just for fun, class 1 is ITM220. Yosemite Sam also attends class 1, which is ITM220, right? Tweety Bird and Wile E. Coyote attend the second class, which is accounting. Wile E. Coyote and Homer Simpson, Homer and Bart both attend Management 100. And Minnie and Mickey attend the 4th class, which is finance. Belongs to. Right? I will tell you this, guys, so listen carefully. Sometimes access screws up, and if you make a mistake and then you try to delete a record, and you delete a record, you may end up starting off with 3. So you'll have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as your primary key. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't care as long as there's 5 records. But just also remember that your foreign keys are going to be 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7. Right? Your foreign keys have to relate to your primary keys. Right click save, right click close, right click save, right click close. How are you guys doing so far? Okay, do you want to hit pause? Melissa? Hit pause for a moment. Okay, can you see in the viewfinder and make sure you're pointing? Does it look okay?
Yep.
Okay. All right, listen up. Get your notebooks out and let's draw a line across the top, and we're going to put how to create a form and a subform. How to create a form and a subform. As I had mentioned before, sometimes you'll pick up a magazine, the doctor's office, the dentist, or whatever, and one of those little cards will fall out, and they're trying to get you to subscribe to that magazine. So in theory, that's a form. It's a paper form. You drop it in the mail, and it goes to some poor data entry clerk who adds you as a new customer to the database, correct? So we're going to create a form and a subform. And the purpose of our form is not really to enter data, because you're going to do that manually. But the purpose is actually going to be just to display data from two different tables. And you can make changes to the data using the form. All right, so this is how you do it. Make sure, first of all, make sure everything's closed. Always start with a blank slate. Always. Always. And we're going to click on Create Form Wizard. So jot that down. Create tab, Form Wizard. Create tab, Form Wizard. Now this part is entirely up to you. I want you to display records from one table and their associated records from another table. Okay? And it doesn't have to be table A and table B. It can be table A and table C. Okay? Because they're all hooked together. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to display the university names and all the students that attend those universities. All right? So, I'm going to display the biggest one is universities, right? That's my A table. So up here at the top, I'm going to choose university. And it's going to display all my fields. Well, when you guys get done, you're obviously going to have a lot more fields, at least 6. FYI, and you should jot this down, it is also in the instructions. Please do not include the primary or foreign keys in your forms or anything else for that matter. Because they're not really relevant. They're not really meaningful. So I'm just going to display my university name. So I click on name and the arrow. It moves it over into my list of choices of what to display. I'm not done yet. I also want to display all the students that go to that university. So what table is that in? Students. And once again, don't bring in the student ID or the foreign key, okay? I'm just going to take the first name and move it over and the last name. So in the end, my table is going to look like this. I mean my form, I'm sorry. Now you guys, when you create your real form and subform, try to avoid including everything, but you can if you want to accept the primary and foreign keys. And next. So, my A table is university, so I want it displayed by university. So leave it alone. It's also giving me the option of form with subform, and that's what I want, so leave it alone. So on this screen, all you do is next. All right? The third screen in the form wizard asks you what you want the layout to look like. And I really don't care. I'm just going to pick data sheet. Next. This screen, however, I do want you to just change one thing and put university form. And I also want you to put modify the form design, because we're almost finished. University form, and it already had student subform, and we're going to modify the form design and finish. Okay, what the heck is that? All right. I'm going to get rid of this field list over here. But just for fun, I'm going to show you without any modifications what it would look like. So I'm going to click on University. That's pretty bland, and I don't want to see that for your 50-point project. There are a number of requirements that you have to attend to, okay? For one thing, I want this to be centered here in the middle, and I want you to have a fill color around it. And these are in the instructions, and we will get to that in a minute. Also, the fact that we have university name, the word university is redundant, so I want you to take that out.
How'd you get it to look from the weird one before to this?
I got rid of, I X'd out of that box on the right, and then I just double-clicked on university form to run it. You double-click to run something, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, but I don't like this. It's not pretty. So, for you guys, jot this down. We are now going to go into layout here. Layout. It doesn't really look that different, does it? It should remind you a little bit of Excel pivot charts. Everything is a box. Everything is a box. So you can modify these boxes as you see fit. So for example, I'm going to take university form and from the home tab, I'm going to make it a little bigger, stretch it out. And move the box over so it's kind of centered. Okay? From the home tab, I'm actually going to center that university form and fill it with color. So you can right-click properties or just cheat like me. From the home tab, just go to the paint bucket. There you go. One of my pet peeves is that this is obviously the university name. So this box over here to the left is just the label. So let's take out the word university, and we're just going to call it name. And while I'm at it, this takes a little bit of practice. I'm going to make that bold. I'm going to take this and move it over. And it does take a little bit of practice to figure out how to move things around. If you don't click in exactly the right area, it doesn't move it. I'm going to make student bold also, and maybe even put a fill color for that. Maybe put the fill color for name. Now, if you click in a neutral area down here, I want you to make this some kind of pretty fill color also. So, I don't know, we'll make it kind of a pale blue, I guess. And I'm going to move this box down on your student. this is the main form. Now I would like you to open up the subform. And let's go into layout view. And once again, I'm going to take out redundancies like student first, student last. Okay, just for fun, we're going to right-click save, right-click close, right-click save, right-click close. And let's see what it looks like. It's not gorgeous, but it will work. One other comment that I would like to make to you guys, however, though, is that in your subform, trying to find, maybe in design view. Yeah. Let's see if this helps. Don't copy me yet. No, I probably have to do it here. Doggone it. Okay, so please make a note of this in your notes. In your main form, go into layout view. In your main form, go into layout view. And click on your subform until it has like an orange box around it and stretch it out. Technically, I don't have to do that because all I have is first name and last name. But for you guys, you're likely to include a lot more items on your subform. And you're going to get points off if they chop off. So what do I mean by that? Let me show you exactly what I mean. This is an example. If you don't have enough space to show your data, it's just going to chop it off. See how it chopped off the last name? How do I fix that? Really easy. Go into layout view and make sure there's an orange box on it and stretch it out. You're going to have more than 2 fields, so you're going to have to stretch it out more. Okay? Okay. Now, FYI, what is the whole point of this? If you look down at the bottom, you'll see that we are at record number 1 is University of Tampa. And University of Tampa has 4 students. If we click the arrow, we're going to go to University of Central Florida, which also has 4 students. For you guys, if A is your main form and C is your subform, you're going to have 5, 10, 20. Right? 5, 10, 20. How many records is, how many are the very first record? How many C's are there going to be? 4. Right? 1 times 2 is 2, times 2 is 4. Okay. 1, 2, 4. Always double. So you use the little arrow. In the real world, we would use these little arrows down at the bottom to scroll through our table. And we could actually make changes here to the data, like if I misspelled somebody's name. Okay? Also, if you have a really long list, you could use this field here in the subform to scroll up and down also. Okay? And add more. Okay, that's a form. The purpose of a form is to display information, and it also allows you to change information and even delete, and even make deletions. However, for our purposes, we're going to enter our information at the very beginning in data sheet view, right? So, right-click Save, right-click Close. Always start with a blank screen. This is the Word document for the 50-point access project. We have already created the tables. We've already done the relationships. And we've already created the forms. One form and a subform. Now we get to the fun part, and that is queries. If you may remember from chapter 4, a query is like a question. Q equal Q, query equal question. So draw a line across your notebook and put how to create queries. Now forms are a little bit prettier, but queries are much more powerful. They're not really meant to be pretty, but they allow you to look into your database and pull information out. Not everything, just something. Okay? Queries. So, you are going to be required to make a minimum of 5 queries. However, you can create more queries for extra credit as long as they are significantly different from these that are required. Okay? They have to be different. A lot different. Also, for extra credit, if you have more than three tables, that's going to get you extra points. More fields in your tables gives you extra credit. So, really put your effort into it to maybe make up for some of the points you missed in the Excel. All right, let's start with the very first one. It says here, do not include primary or foreign keys in your queries. Okay, don't forget that. And don't include all the fields in your table unless you have a valid reason. Usually queries have a purpose. And this is the example I've used in the past. Let me use it again. You go to the bank, you want to withdraw some money, you don't know what your account number is, you forgot your debit card. So you walk up to the teller and you say, I need to take out $100. And he says, okay, give me your Social Security number. There you go. He's going to run a query that is pull up customer account by Social Security number. That's going to be the query. And it's going to pull up your account. Okay? So actually, the very first thing that we're going to do is that same thing. And we're going to call it a prompt query. In other words, whoever is running the query gets to enter what they're looking for. Okay? So, the first part of this, for your notes, is you have to think about what you want to look for. Okay? What do you want to prompt the user for? I'm going to go back to my database. I'm going to look around. Okay. Let's see. This will be kind of fun. Let's duplicate what we had in the form and subform, okay, except in a query this time. show me all the students for a particular university that I enter. Okay? Show me all the students for a particular university I enter. That's a great sentence. So let's get started. This is note to self, how to create a query. Click Create, Query Wizard. Unlike my contemporary teachers in ITM220, who require you to create cross-tab queries, which are much more brutal, I, the enlightened one, only require you to create simple queries. Okay, so simple query, okay. Simple query, okay. All right. So my question was, have the user enter the university ID, the university name, I'm sorry. Have the user enter the university name and show me all the students that go there. Okay, cool. So, where do I get this information from? Where do I start from? University, right? Okay, university. So I click on university. Name. Shove it over, because I want that in my query. But I also want all the students that belong to that university. Where do I get that? Student. Don't include the primary or foreign keys. Okay? So I'm going to include first name and last name. Next. So once you've chosen your tables and the fields that you want, then you just click next. Ma'am.
Do we get to choose whatever we want? Or
Exactly.
So we can just, doesn't matter.
Anything you want. In this screen where it says detail or summary, leave it alone at detail. Just click next. Leave it alone at detail and click next. However, on the third screen, we need to make a change. And you'll get points off for this. And this is in the instructions. And this is really just to help me grade them easier. In the real world, I would probably name this Enter University to Display Students. That would be an appropriate name. Enter University to Display Students. But for you guys, I want to call it Prompt Query. Right? And jot this down, modify the query design. So rename it and modify the query design. Everybody with me so far? I kind of lost the first class at this point. So I really want to make sure you guys are with me.
I only got two.
To us.
You got university classes, I only got
Just because you have B to, or A to B and A to C. Or,
Yeah.
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 Okay, that's
it's
fine.
not going well.
All right, so I want you guys to study this screen for a moment because this is really important for all of your queries. Please pay attention to me carefully. First of all, this tells us the table that we selected, and this tells us the field that we selected. And you remember doing that, right? Then we selected student and the first name and student and the last name, right? But I want you to pay attention to these other items because they come with access. And this is just a little bit like programming, and it's a little bit fun, kind of fun. For example, you can create a sorted query, which we'll get to in a minute, by choosing which field to sort by here. But the most important row is criteria. So write that down. The most important row is criteria. Because some of you guys will hose this up. I don't want you to do that. The most important row is the criteria. And you actually have to do some thinking. So, in the criteria row, you have to figure out what you want the user to enter. Okay, what do I want the user to enter? The university name. Okay? So, all I do is go to the university name column and go down to criteria and click. And that's where I start. Now, there are lots of different options for criteria, but for this moment in time, we're going to focus on the prompt criteria. And the prompt criteria just displays a message on the screen for the user to enter something. And this is how it works. Next to the P on your keyboard, if you'll look down, is a square bracket, an open and close bracket. You start with the open bracket and you type what you want the user to see. Please enter the university name. Close bracket. Not parentheses. The bracket has special meaning in Access. The bracket means displayed to the user. Okay? Believe it or not, that's all there is to it. So we're going to right-click Save, right-click Close. And just like everything else in Access, how do you run it? How do you run? You actually run a query. Double-click on it. Okay? So, please make sure for your 50-point assignment that you actually run your queries. Don't just make them and leave them. Run them and test them. So I'm going to double-click this, and lo and behold, look what shows up. Please enter the university name. Okay? You have to go back and make sure that you have brackets. Okay, exit out of there, close it, right-click Close, and go back into Design View. All right, we'll get to her in just a minute, but watch what happens. University of Tampa. Ta-da! Now, let me tell you what you can do wrong. Because I actually have to do this when I run you guys' queries. I have to go and look what your data is to make sure I get something, pull something up. But at the 8 o'clock class, in the actual data, I type UNIV of Tampa instead of University of Tampa. So if I type in, watch this, right-click Save, right-click Close. If I type in UNIV of Tampa, it doesn't give me anything. Why? Okay, let's look at the university table. It has to actually be identical to this. University of Tampa. So the user has to type in exactly the right thing. Spelling and everything, right? Okay. So did you guys, were you able to successfully create a prompt query? Make sure you don't include any primary or foreign keys. Okay? And make sure that I'll take points off for spelling because I was an English teacher.